Let's discuss a little bit AEW Dynamite. Let's shift your focus to AEW and what is going on in AEW. I mean, there's lots to criticize on the WWE front right now. Is AEW doing any better? And let's just start off by what happened on Dynamite. Now, I haven't watched it yet, so you guys go ahead and you tell me a little bit about what happened. I know we had some big matches last night. So what did you guys think about this week's episode of Dynamite?
They had a second really solid episode in a week. They do really good with tournaments. That's kind of become on their niche. So yes, the world title in their tournament, that's been fantastic. Both Wardlow and Hangman Page and Kenny Omega and Penta had really good matches. The main event went a bit long, but at the same time, these are two really big stars for them. They don't really want to go out there and have Kenny Omega just knee Penta's head off in 5 minutes. Because while Penta has been kind of hanging the tag division up till now, he's very much going to be a major single star for them once him and his brother kind of break off their own ways. This was kind of his coming out party. Wardlow has just been killing it ever since he got back on Dynamite. I think he was on a 9-match win streak coming into tonight with only Cody having beaten him before in his debut match. Like, his match with Jungle Boy last week was fantastic. And then Page this week, it took 2 buckshot Larrys to take Wardlow down, which, while he lost, he ended up looking like a beast because usually one of those moves just knocks someone out. So then that sets up Page and Omega for Full Gear, which it seemed pretty obvious going in, but it's going to be a fantastic match.
It was obvious from the first time that Kenny came out to a Hangman match, and then they were talking about still being in a tag team. It was obvious they were going to end up as the final two.
Yeah, like I felt like almost time it was going to be too obvious. It was going to be a swerve somewhere this week, but they ended up just going with it. They're going strong with their angle there. It's going to be a fantastic match. I think Kenny and Page have met once before in New Japan. It was a really good, 20-minute match. Like
who won that time?
I think it was Kenny because he was on his way up to either already the IWGP Heavyweight Champion or was on his way there, so they were kind of really picking and choosing who could lose to. So he was kept as strong as ever at that time, and Page ended up losing, but it was a really good showing. I think that was also...
Okay, so before I say anything, what did you think, CP?
I enjoyed it. Like I said, second week in a row, that was actually a decent show. It kind of scared me the way they were taking so much heat for their booking with some of because they've been destroying their monster characters for the longest time. Wardlow really came off strong. I mean, I think him and Page's match with them as a match of the night.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, they basically they beat the crap out of each other. I mean, it was fun to watch, and Page didn't win with some fluke or anything. He literally had to whittle the Giant down, wear him down to the point where he could beat him, and he could barely make it out of the ring himself.
Was there any interference, or it was just a straight-up clean bout?
Just straight up. I mean, it's like, I mean, they countered each other well. It wasn't like a bunch of finishes that really, you could tell, there wasn't any point in the match you could point to it like, this is where it should have ended. I think it was one that actually went the right time, had the right ending, and they both came out looking really strong with it. And it's like, and it just sets up, like I said, the Kenny Omega match later on. And that was a great match, but it went a little too long. Again, a lot of big, heavy-hitting finishes. I don't know how many elbows to the head Omega took from. I mean, he just kept wailing on him. Every time they countered, he kept hitting like 10,000 elbows. Get him off his back. So it's like, it's almost a miracle that no one walked out with a concussion. They had a lot of big hits for everyone that loves the spot press. I mean, they had a lot of the big hits in that. It was a good match. It just probably should have ended a little earlier. Again, they came out looking solid together. Penta, he looked like another beast, like another up-and-comer. How long it lasts, if they're going to keep pushing that route, or if it looks like they're going to be breaking him and his brother up soon the way it's going. Because Eddie Kennison, they worked out where he basically had Phoenix give up his spot to his brother. Yeah. Going to face his brother in the finals.
Yeah, because them keeping Phoenix in the tag division has been stupid because he is probably one of the best babyface characters they're going to have once they finally let him loose. Like, dude has killed it wherever he's gotten that chance before. Like, he's going to absolutely kill it in AEW. He's going to have great matches with everyone, but they just need to finally break those two up. And they're a great tag team, but they're better rivals, as their match last week shows.
Yeah, it was an awesome match. I actually, the reason I was getting caught up with last week's Dynamite, so I haven't had time to watch this week's. But last week's match was, of course, we all knew that it was going to be an awesome match, right? It wasn't, we just had to see it play out. We all knew it was going to be great even before we saw it, and it delivered, I think, on the expectation. So it was nice to see the older brother kind of losing to the younger brother, because I think probably people would have thought that the older brother would have taken it. But I just want to so I want to touch on two things. So Wardlow and also Kenny Omega versus Hangman Adam Page. So at this point, I feel like it's inevitable that one of either Kenny Omega or Hangman Page is going to turn heel after this fight, right?
Definitely Omega.
Okay,
They're already kind of leaning into that.
Okay,
thankfully.
so this is what I'm trying to get into, right? I think you agree with that, CP. Oh, is CP still there?
Yeah, it's gonna be
okay.
Omega.
Yeah. Okay. So
Omega's gonna turn heel.
Okay. So we all agree on that,
Right.
and I think the reason we agree on that is because it's been so obvious, right? It's been so obvious that Kenny is kind of the one that, I don't know. He just seems very iffy about the whole thing. And so I feel like it's been too obvious. So could AEW be pulling a fast one on us and have Hangman Adam Page turn heel? Just to be like, haha, we got you guys. You all thought that Kenny was going to turn heel. We got you. Can AEW do that?
I don't think, because Page is just the biggest babyface they have. He's been built up perfectly. Like, he almost feels like he's going to be that Ricky Steamboat babyface for life character at this point. He'll have some edge to him, sure, but he seems like he'll never fully turn his back on the fans. Like, he'll always kind of stay kind of going in the right direction. But Omega, he works best as just an absolute dickhead of a heel. Like, as we've seen with the Sonny Kiss match, he hyped himself up. He was playing up like, oh, I'm right, respectful sportsmanship, all that, but also like, oh, I'm gonna steam right past this kid. Like, this kid's so fucking far beneath me. Like, what's nothing to it? And that's where he's at his best. Like, when he's buying his own hype, he's calling himself the best bout machine. Like, he's calling himself the best wrestler in the world. And he just builds his own confidence up. He just becomes the most insufferable person ever. He's going to be AEW champion before long, and everyone's going to hate his guts. It's going to be beautiful.
I'm actually looking forward to that. Because I feel like the Kenny Omega we've seen so far has been a little tame, a little neutered. I feel like he hasn't really shown his potential so far.
Yeah, and like it's almost been like, because a lot of people watching AEW didn't really follow his story arc through New Japan like someone like I did, but they kind of started him off. He started off in a tag team. He kind of worked his way through that. You kind of see glimmers of like, oh, he's this really good singles wrestler. The tag team breaks off, and he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna get back to my old ways. Kind of introduce himself into singles in a more natural manner than if he just walked into the company like, yeah, I'm the best wrestler in the world. You have to watch some other companies to figure this out, but I'm the best in the world. Like someone like Chris Jericho can do that because, well, he's Chris Jericho, who anyone coming in with a previous knowledge of wrestling knows him, knows how good he is. That made him such a good first champion because he can kind of be like, yeah, he's this fantastic wrestler. But Kenny Omega, they kind of had to find a way to introduce him to an American audience because he never really had a foothold over here at all.
Right. What do you think?
For me, I mean, I kind of look at it. I really wasn't a big Kenny Omega follower. I'm one of those that Matt was just talking about that really didn't have a clue of him outside of the U.S. But I did notice I don't think that they could actually do any swerves right now because they've had two false heel turns in a way. They had Cody Rhodes that teased he's turning heel. They already had Hangman Page tease he's turning heel when he stopped the Young Bucks in the tournament, and they didn't. Then they came back being face. So I don't think they could do it. If they do it a third time, their fan base may just, their hardcore fan base may love it, but I think a lot of other people will be turned off by it because it will be the same again. Because it almost had the feel where the whole corporate setup was turning heel there, with the Rhodes almost turning heel, Omega and the Bucks. So I think they're gonna have to stop it there. Omega's gonna have to turn heel, and he just looks it. I mean, he just gets that look in his face, and you just want to reach to the screen and smack him. So he's gonna be great with it, and I would love Page. Just a Page fan. I'm gonna admit that I'm a huge Page fan. I think I would like to see him win it, but I think it's gonna be Omega all the way because they need that good heel. I mean, I like Mox, but I think he should have lost the title a month or so ago. And either the Cage, something like that, because it's again they killed the big guys right away. They brought in monsters and they killed them right away. So I think he should have lost it, and I think it would have been pretty cool to see either Hangman or Omega going against the Cage. And that could have been what would have turned Omega heel, or he pushed him over the edge, whether to bring that other side of him out. But I think it's going to be a great match, however you cut it between those two, and then whoever faces Moxie, then it's going to be a couple of great matches. They almost cannot have bad matches.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And yeah, look, I think so too. I know what you're saying about the false heel turns, and I don't really understand why AEW has done those. Like, what was the deal with the Cody Rhodes, dyeing his hair black and just hinting at a heel turn and then just dyeing his hair back? It was just so weird, and it just seemed done on purpose just to kind of confuse us. So I hear what you're saying. I agree with that. I was just asking because they haven't really been secretive about the fact that Kenny is likely going to turn his back on Hangman. It's a little too obvious, but I think that AEW has shown that they can be obvious at times, especially recently. So I think we might see more of that. I kind of agree with you guys. I know that Matt is he's taking care of his child there. I just wanted to get your opinion. What do we think about this whole? Okay, so we got the Kenny Omega situation kind of settled. I think we all kind of agree on that. What do we think about Wardlow and where he's going? So he's showing a lot of promise. He has a nice, vicious, kind of mean look on his face that I think is like liquid gold for wrestling. He has the look, that is just perfect. Like, I don't know if anybody else has that look in AEW. I'm not sure that Lance Archer has that look in AEW. I think they have to try a little harder to kind of instill that mean demeanor into Lance Archer, and perhaps even Brody Lee. I find that Wardlow is the one that has it just naturally. He could be that nasty son of a gun, like completely nasty, and just ragdolls and runs roughshod all over the place. And so I think he has huge potential, especially because of that. Of course, he's pretty good in the ring as well. So it seems like it's time for him to stop being MJF's lackey. And I'm not sure where they're going with this MJF thing. I don't think he's gonna join the Inner Circle. It seems a little too hyped up at this point. I don't really know where that's going, but I think that Wardlow is definitely ready for prime time, regardless.
Absolutely. Yeah. Especially last week when MJF said, "Well, if he wins the championship, that means I'm the champion, because everything he does is for me." And I was like, just a look Wardlow gave him. I think they're gonna. It's gonna almost hurt to say, but I think they're gonna turn MJF face in a few weeks. Between him being beaten out of joining Inner Circle and pushing Wardlow too far, I think he's in for a series of savage beatings in the next few weeks.
It's gonna be great.
I think he's going to be put through the mat, and he's going to get stomped. And I think it's going to be one of the things going to be so brutal. He can't help but turn face. Like, I think Cornette actually said in his match against Moxley, if they would have had a crowd, that he would have turned face right then unintentionally, because he was a face in that match, and he took the beating like a face. So it's like, I think that's going to happen the next couple weeks, especially with fans coming back. He's just going to take such a pounding. The guy is going to get mauled. And they can't help. He's going to have to be a face. It may not be in his DNA.
No.
He's like the Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, but they're greater as heels than they are faces. And he's definitely not, a face character, but he's going to have to be, because it's just going to be too brutal for them to sit there and keep him as a heel with Jericho, and then with Wardlow, putting him in place, unless they figure out how to put Wardlow heel face. But then he's just got that look, like you said. He reminds me of like King Kong Bundy or Big John Studd, where he just looked at you and your blood ran cold. Like
he kind of reminds me of Crush back in the WWF days, right? Like, what was his name? Adam Bomb? Who was a wrestler that had huge potential, perhaps never really lived up to it. And I'm not even sure that Wardlow needs to be a heel per se. He could just be a nasty, kind of neutral, just I don't give a shit. I'm just going to wreck crap up. You know what I mean? Like kind of like Stone Cold was. He was kind of neutral for a lot of his reign. It wasn't necessarily a heel. It was only a heel because, well, like we have a certain definition of a baby face, right? Which is kind of like this vanilla, kind of like Cody Rhodes when he's at his best kind of thing, right? That's kind of like a baby face. Or perhaps Hangman Adam Page is a good example. But Wardlow is mean, He's not necessarily a jackass heel, but he looks mean. And
I think he'll be more like the anti-hero, like you said, like in Austin. He'll be like in the middle,
yeah,
an anti-hero, and whoever pisses him off first will be the one he kills.
yeah. Well, that's what I mean, right? But to me, that's not a heel. That's just a
Yeah,
badass that doesn't take any shit. It's different,
and I
you
think
know.
that would really add something to him because I don't, at least from off the top of my head, I can't think of too many people in AEW that actually is in the middle like that. A lot
Yeah,
could be,
exactly.
but they have them very clearly defined. Like you said, like Cage and the Murdoch, they're obviously heels. The other one, there you can actually see the divide. The only one that great here with the Young Bucks because I'm sorry, I'm just gonna catch some flack, but it's like I don't think AEW is good at the subtlety. I really don't. The Young Bucks, to me, there was nothing subtle about it. They tried to be it subtle, but it wasn't subtle. Like they're a little turn there. Like, well, what's happening? Why are they doing it? I mean, they're better when they just come right out and they just do it. It's done. It's in your face. There's no realm for confusion. And I think that's what wins fans over more because you don't have to think about it. You can just sit there and just react. And
I
listen,
think
when
we're all
Raw,
confused by the Young Bucks and what is going on. I'm confused.
I think the
yeah,
Young Bucks are confused.
yeah, yeah, they
Like,
kind of look like it at times. It's like you kind of it's you don't know whether to cheer, boo. It's kind of well, okay, follow the leader. Who's gonna be the first one to do something?
it's a weird kind of like metamorphosis between a face and a heel, and at any point in a match or a segment, you don't know how to feel one way or another. You're just not really sure of what is going on. And the thing is, their body language, their facial expression, their tone, their demeanor doesn't really speak heel to me. These like kind of like it's almost like, look, to be a heel, it's not just about super kicking random people in the face. That's not enough to sell the angle, right? You kind of you need more than that. You need to come off like you're mean, and you know you do things because you just enjoy hurting people. You enjoy putting people down. You're a bit of a bully, a bit of a jackass in every sense of the word. I'm not. I don't know. I don't get that from the Young Bucks. I feel like they come off confused in their skits and their matches. It's like a jumbled mess. I'm completely not a fan of it. I think it's one of the worst things that AEW is doing recently. Perhaps the worst thing that they've done since they started. I am just completely at a loss
Yeah,
of words.
yeah, because it's almost like they're trying to be heel, but they don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
They're
Right.
kind of like, well,
Right.
do we really buy into this ourselves? Or it's almost kind of like I said, stuck in neutral. They're like at that crossroads. Which way do you go? Because they hear a certain name, then they super kick everybody. They said super kicking isn't necessarily heel. Like a few years back in WWF or WWE when Triple H and Shawn Michaels, I forget what set it up, but Michael started super kicking everybody. It was freaking hilarious. It's a heel move, but it's freaking hilarious. So it wasn't exactly a heel thing, and that's kind of how they come across. Like, yeah, they're doing it in a nasty way, but at the same time, it's like they don't. Like they said, "Oh, sorry, oh, here's money for your new teeth or whatever," and they kind of walk away. Then it's like, yeah, that's supposed to be a dick move, but at the same time, something about them just doesn't ring like it is being, like that term, like that isn't being, being an ass, or whatever. It's just like they're just. I've had a moment of insanity.
Yeah. They're just not going all the way with it. What do you think, Matt?
All I know is that I think for Full Gear, it's FTR versus the Bucks for the titles, and if Young Bucks lose, they can't challenge for the titles anymore. They're doing the Cody gimmick again. And for God's sakes, I hope they lose so that way they stay forever away from the title picture. Just kind of let them build
Thank
up.
you.
Like,
See, I have to admit, when AEW first started, and I heard they're part of the top production team, I actually was waiting for them to book themselves in the tag team titles, and I was
like
so happy they haven't done that yet. And like I said, I hope they follow through on that because you don't need the heads of the company in the top title picture.
no,
I mean,
like
it just
someone
like
like
him.
Kenny
And
Omega,
Cody.
that works because he is
Yeah.
someone who should be world champion. But the Young Bucks, they have the best tag team division in the world. The Young Bucks have helped build up teams like Private Party, Santana, and Ortiz. Like they've had these really good matches, building people up. But the division is better than them at this point. They're almost like the elder statesmen of the tag team division. And it's kind of time for them just to kind of keep building teams up, stay in the background. They don't need to be in the title picture.
Yeah.
A Young Bucks match is going to be a major match in a pay-per-view without a title.
I will say one thing though. The whole FDR versus Young Bucks is a bit of a weird match because, well, it's heel versus heel at this point, and
Yeah.
so I feel like they're gonna do something with the angle. I don't know if I don't think FDR is going to turn face or anything, but I don't know. I'm not exactly sure where they're going with this. I do think that the Bucks are going to win. I don't. I just a hunch. I feel like they're going to win, and I actually think that perhaps it's not going to be the worst thing ever. I think that perhaps we're going to get to see more of their heel side. We're going to see them on a massive ego power trip once they win those titles. Like, you see, we knew we were the best. We told you guys we are the, like, we're going to see this massive ego power trip. I'm slightly looking forward to it. I hope that it shows more of their character, because their build-up so far has been really, really poor. So I think they're going to use the titles to really certify that heel turn on the rest. I think, of course, we don't know. That's what I think at this point. But the whole thing up until now has not made any sense. None of it has made any coherent sense. They just woke up one day and they just decided to do random shit for no reason. It makes absolutely no sense. And of course, they have to be responsible for the god-awful writing, because I don't really... I don't think anyone out there understands just what the hell is going on with them.
Yeah,
I thought the worst angle going into Full Gear, but they kind of retroactively try to set up Nyla Rose with the Karashita by saying Rose didn't want to wrestle for months till she got a title shot out of nowhere. So that's definitely the worst build. But FTR versus the Bucks should have been great, but they've just completely botched this build. The match will be great, but the build has been terrible.
I just look at, with actually delving into the whole company, who runs the different aspects of it. The Bucks are in charge of the tag team division. Brandy Rhodes, the female division, the women's division. So, is that their lack of experience? Is that, how many ideas being in the pool? What? I don't know. It's because it seems like the singles division is a lot more controlled with Cody running it. So it's like, at least I think Cody runs it. So it's, it just kind of, you see the breakdown. Is it all, it's good at the different, points of view, but yeah. The build-up, is that because of them, or is that because Tony Khan has the final say and he wants to go someplace else? So it's like too many ideas in the pot. It's like there's so many mysteries with it. I mean, they are still learning. I mean, they're going to make, like I said, they're still young. They've been around for about a year. So they're going to make mistakes doing this stuff, and they are showing signs of improvement. That's a good part. Mm-hmm. It's just, the build-ups have been very, bad. That's just no other way to really put it. But, after this, they start, stepping, moving and improving things after this for whatever reason.
I feel like perhaps some of the reasons for that is maybe the inexperience. If say you have all these mid-30s, wrestlers that are kind of running things around in the writing department, this might be a lack of experience in terms of the storytelling. And of course, some of these people, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, these are not people that had like WWE experience, so not extensive kind of like primetime U.S. network experience in terms of writing and storytelling. So you're putting all these people kind of like at the head of running things, and perhaps this is a bit the result that you're getting. I think the issue a little bit, if not most of it, is in how people turn heel in AEW. They don't seem to do a very good job of it. They're good if people come in as heel. So FDR is kind of, they're heels, but not full on heels. But let's say Brian Cage came on as heel, Lance Archer came on as heel. So these guys came on as heels. MJF was a heel from the beginning, I believe. So these people came on as heels. They didn't really have to transition them very much. It's when they have to transition, like the Young Bucks, they seem to do it's a childish, kind of like immature, amateur kind of job that they seem to do, right? There's something that gets lost in the translation between what they think and what we see on TV, and we don't get a very good product. And I think because I think the kind of more psychological aspects of wrestling and storytelling, they're really in those heel turns. I feel like kind of like what would drive a person psychologically to kind of turn to the dark side. I think that's kind of like the interesting aspects, and AEW just completely fails at answering that question.
Yeah, they're getting better, but it's like I said, lack of experience, and you can also look at a lot of the older wrestlers point out it's a indie mentality. You know, a lot of do the high spots, do this, like have a huge video game type of performance, and you don't have that so much psychology anymore. That's almost weird. You almost feel like an older person and sit there, okay, you know, like say just they say Kevin Sullivan, for instance. Just bring them in and just kind of settle it down, okay, and explain how you do angles, what you're thinking when you do angles. Just because you've been through it and you may know what to do doesn't mean you know what to do. And it's a process. I mean, they're improving, it's getting better. It's just you just have little bumps in the road like this, and it's just kind of just almost glaring, like kind of, oh, you were doing so good, and it's So there is hope for the future because they are showing signs of improving with it. I just can't I just can't go over the Bucks actually burying Penta and Ray Phoenix so bad like that in the tag division. I cannot get over that little aspect.
Yeah, I feel like that's been a long-term game. They've always planned on having them break out into singles. So I've never really focused that much on them as a tag team, but that seemed like it was also a huge waste.
Yeah, because you have this huge talent there.
They also did lose Pac right when they started up the Death Triangle thing, which I think that was the plan for Penta and Phoenix, but then Pac got stuck over in the UK. Who knows? He might be back soon because Pete Dunne made it back to NXT, so people are making it kind of back and forth overseas now. So maybe Pac will be back, but maybe that probably won't be until after Full Gear, anyways. But we'll kind of have to see where it goes with them. But they did not do a good job in the tag team division, unfortunately, which is a shame.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said, you have the ideas, but then translating it from head to paper to the ring, that's a whole different things. And I mean, you can only hope for the best. I mean, they're still young in it. This is like pretty much probably the first real experience in going this, full in depth with it. I had some experience before, but this is the first time they're actually running it. All I have is 200 above them, so there's going to be pressure. There's going to be mistakes, and just hope to keep learning from them.
Look, their saving grace is that even though there's all these mistakes and all this criticism, I think is valid. You look at WWE and their experience, and I wouldn't say they're faring much better, right?
Oh yeah, well yeah. You look at WWE, it's like what tag team division?
Right, exactly.
Like 3 teams for
their tag team
teams.
division is actually in AEW right now, FDR.
Yeah.
So there you go. All right, guys. So, look, I think this is going to do it. We were actually planning on just doing about 20, 30 minutes. I think we've done well over an hour. So, I think this is going to do it. Do you guys have any final thoughts and any final things you want to bring up? Or should we save those for next week?
I think we can save the rest for next week here. Get some more AEW and NXT salt in. See where things go with everything.
I got plenty of WWE and everything else to go through until next time. So, it should add to the discussion pile.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. Awesome. Okay. All right. So that's going to do it. All right. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for listening. We're going to put this up on YouTube. So whoever is watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button. Leave any comments you have in the comment section down below. Tune into the channel next week. We're going to do some more. And we're going to try to do these more frequently as long as everyone else is on board and people watch it and all of that stuff. So thanks, guys. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, CP or Ed. I appreciate you guys being on today.
All right.
All right.
Have a good one.